Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Hey, good morning, folks.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat.
Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are.
There it is, team. Morning. Morning, wherever you're tuning in from today.
Early bird gets the worm, they say. Here at Positive, we offer a 6-star team. It's a team that help you at every stage of your wealth creation journey.
Good morning, folks. Welcome back to Wealth Coffee Chats. It is Monday, the 15th of September. Happy Monday. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Yes, Monday, the 15th of September. How on earth did that happen? Christmas decorations might already be gracing the aisles of your local Coles or Woolies. And I'm not sure if that is the surefire way of knowing that the end of the year is approaching. Anyway, look, give me a bit of a shout out in the chat. Good morning, Rosie. Great to see you on this morning. Great to have you. Wonderful. Hey, look, give me a shout out in the chat where you're coming from. Good morning, Courtney. Good to see you online. Love that, Court. Good to have you here. Folks, my name is Emily Miller and I am your host today for Wealth Coffee Chats, and I work in the advisory team here at Positive. And we have the pleasure of presenting to you on a Monday. Jeffrey, you're here. Good morning. Love to see you here this morning. That's fantastic. Good on you, Jeff. You're always here. Lovely regular. So look, Monday mornings, we have the education team presenting to you. Tuesdays, we have the tax team. On Wednesdays, you'll hear from the property management team. Thursdays, you'll have the financial planning team. And then finally, on Fridays, to close out the week, you'll have lending and finance. So as today is Monday, we are going to be talking about coaching and education. So welcome back, regulars. Like I said, Jeff, good to see you there. Great to see you all in the chat already, folks. So let's dive into it. Today's chat is all about happiness. Happiness, folks. And it's not the fluffy feel-good kind. We're actually going to look at what psychology tells us about happiness and how it links directly to your property journey. This might be a little bit different to maybe some of the topics that we normally cover on these sessions. Oh, good on you, Cordy. You're here from the Gold Coast. Love to see you there, mate. That's awesome. So hands up in the chat as we dive into this discussion, folks. Who has ever felt the rush when you buy a property and it's all you can think about? It's all you can talk about it. You've trawled through all of the marketing photos. You've analyzed every single floor plan. You've analyzed every single orientation. You've looked up Google Street View. You have scrolled through realestate.com.au, and you maybe have even found yourself deep in a forum somewhere about that suburb. Or maybe if you're just a little bit creepy, you may have even joined a Facebook community group on that particular street or suburb to see what your neighbors are up to. Does that ring a bell? Finally, the contract is signed, all the due diligence is done, and that's it. And then it's only later that you start to feel restless or even start second guessing yourself and your decision. Is that normal for you folks? Give me a shout out in the chat. Yes, what do we got here? Rosie. Oh, yes, Wealth, Wine and Wisdom on Friday afternoons. Don't miss out. Yes, Courtney, you're saying absolutely pre-purchase, during the purchase and post-purchase, you are feeling those feelings. Yeah, absolutely. Jeff, can you feel that too? Yeah, absolutely. And the countdown is on 15 years. Yeah, look, folks, this is normal, okay? And as property coaches, we are acutely aware of your emotions and the emotions at play as you start to build your property portfolio. And by the end of our time together today, you'll understand just why those feelings are normal and how you can stay aligned with your goals and your strategy through those highs and lows. So if you're keen on that, folks, give me a yes in the chat and we can dive straight into it. Oh, Luke, buyer's remorse, the old buyer's remorse. Yes, Rosie, you're saying the same thing. Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's a real thing, folks, and psychology tells us a little bit about this. So researchers in positive psychology tell us that happiness isn't a continuous state of euphoria, right? And I want you to think about it. For those of you who are married, think about your wedding day, or think about that big job promotion that you might have had, or even buying a brand new car. All of these events spark incredible highs. And here's the truth. Those feelings fade, surprisingly, really quickly. And psychologists call this hedonic adaptation, okay? Hedonic adaptation. It's our ability as humans to get used to new circumstances. And it's the psychological process where we quickly return rather to a stable baseline after we've experienced all these peaks and troughs in our lives. So that stable baseline of happiness, we always end up back there despite experiencing a major positive or negative life change. So I've got a little slide here I'm going to share up with you, right? Bob, you're keen on talking about this? Love that, mate. Oh, the panic. Rosie, you say, gosh, what have I done? Absolutely. Now, I'm going to bring this little slide up here. Can you see that? So this is what we're experiencing, up and down, up and down, up and down, okay? So once we get married, once we get that job, that promotion, that new car, those feelings of happiness, they increase, right? But that feeling of happiness is now not the new normal. We don't peak and then just continue at that peak. That feeling, after a while, will return to our baseline. And this picture on the screen is what I mean by that, right? So good stuff happens, bad stuff happens, but we eventually all end up back at that baseline. And what this means is most people, in the terms of happiness, in the long run, it's not about achieving the ultimate peak of happiness, but rather what we look at doing as humans is building a steady flow of pleasant emotions, right? This could be contentment, gratitude, pride, all of these positive emotions that you can feel, however, even after the event has passed, is something that you can revisit. And this is where it gets really important, right? So how does this translate to property investing? And why do we always say, buy well, never sell? Why do we say that? And why do we always say, get a hobby, especially in your consolidation phase? Anyone in the chat, does anyone know why we say that? Patrick, good morning. Good to see you there. If you've got any ideas, throw them in the chat, folks. But here's the crux of it. Here is what psychology tells us about this. When we buy a property, it feels incredible, right? We've made a huge step. You're super proud. You're excited about what you've achieved. But give it a few months and that high fades, exactly like in the graph. It will fade and we will go back to our baseline. And the worst part is, folks, this is where we start creeping in on ourselves. We even start noticing those flaws in the property. We might scroll through listings and wonder if we should have bought something else. or we might even just get bored. And this same cycle applies to every life event in our lives, right? That initial happiness fades and we adapt back to our baseline. And here's where a lot of investors go wrong. They start confusing that fading excitement with a bad decision, right? They confuse that return to the baseline with a bad property investment. And many start to think, maybe I should sell, maybe I should start changing my assets. But remember, folks, the motto is, Jason says, buy well, never sell. And your research to buy, folks, was based on strategy. It was based on research and your long-term goals, not that fleeting thrill, not that fleeting thrill that comes with buying a property. That's not what we're chasing here. So this is why once investors finish that acquisition phase where they're buying all their properties, we often tell them to get a hobby. Yeah? Why is that? Why do we tell people to get a hobby? Because that fidgety restlessness that we feel, it's not a property problem, okay? It's not a property problem. It's a human psychology problem, right? So instead of scratching that itch by selling the property or changing out or getting stressed out, we actually need to redirect that energy into something else. This is why we say get a hobby, right? So the property is actually just sitting there doing exactly what it should have been doing when you purchased it, right? It's doing exactly what it's doing. So I want you to think about this in relation to happiness, right? This happiness that we feel is all a huge emotion build and then a drop, because all of a sudden we're not supposed to do anything with this property for 20 years. We're supposed to let it do its thing, right? Yes, Courtney, they say don't fiddle with it. Don't touch it. Don't fiddle with the property. And Bob, you got it. Absolutely. It's a dopamine hit every single peak, right, folks? So you get it, right? So let's go back here. Let me get rid of that. I hope you enjoyed that little graph there, folks. It's a bit of it's a nice little recap for me, certainly, because these emotions go up and down, right? So here's a little exercise for those of us online, and we've got quite a few on, so it's great to see you all here bright and early on a Monday morning. There's a tool from positive psychology that we can all use right now, which is called positive reminiscence, okay? Positive reminiscence. It's go back to the moment that you bought that property. Go back to the moment where you were having all those meetings with your coach. You were looking at all those pictures. You were analyzing every single street view and angle, right? And remember the pride you felt when you actually signed that contract and it was all said and done. And remember the relief. And remember the clarity of your decision, the clarity that's backed by not only our advising team helping you along the way, but also how that's aligned with your goals. And that moment isn't an accident, okay? It's a reflection of your strategy and it's a reflection of your goals. So you, your coach, and your property consultant probably sat down, likely for a number of hours, to go through every single aspect of your property choice, right? You've gone through all of the details. So when the doubts start creeping in, anchor back to that memory, anchor back to that pride, okay? What are you saying here, Jeff? Your hobby is consistent trips overseas. I love that. Consistent trips overseas. You're going to the Maldives next. That's great. Look, this is what we've got to do, right? Keep focused, get that energy and push it elsewhere. Let the property do what it was always meant to do, okay? So re-experiencing, this is what I'm saying, you need to re-experience that satisfaction of knowing that you bought well. Knowing, of course, that you had a team around you helping you make that decision along the way. And that memory will reignite that confidence and stop you from making an impulsive decision like bloody selling the property, okay? So what do we do? What do we do if we're feeling fidgety or if that happiness has faded back to our baseline, folks? If you're online and you're listening and you're thinking, geez, that's me, and I've been there, you're not alone, okay? You're human. This is it. You're human, and this is exactly how we are built. So you're not alone also in the sense that you have an entire team here at Positive Real Estate to help see you through all of these moments. So if you need assistance or if you need help reconnecting with why you're doing what you're doing, so why you're building your portfolio, why you're working towards a better future and outcome for you and your family, here is what you do, okay? I'm going to pop up a little focus on your next acquisition, Court. That's what you say. Focus on your next purchase. Yes, focus on something else, okay? Absolutely. But here's what we're going to do, okay, folks? I'm going to pop up a QR code on the screen here, folks. Now, I want you to scan the QR code on the screen and you'll be taken to our website, positivementor.com.au. And if you are a client and you are listening this morning, you'll be able to log on and you will be able to download a copy of your goal setting guide. And it's a simple way to help you revisit your goals, realign with your strategy, and remind yourself why you bought in the first place. Now, if you are not a client, you'll be taken to our website and you will have a look, you'll be able to see what we do here at Positive. You can have a little click around and see what we're up to. Now, I realize that a lot of you are on mobile phones this morning listening, so it will be tricky to scan a QR code from your phone. That is impossible. So you can simply type into your web browser positivementor.com.au and you can have a little look from there. Okay, folks? So I'll leave that QR code up there for a little while longer, but we'll wrap up the conversation for today, team. I hope you've been having a great time with me this morning. Thank you for being here. So what we did this morning is we started out looking at what happiness really is. So it's not that permanent state of euphoria. It's not that peak and then that's our new baseline and then another peak and then that's our new baseline, okay? It's leveling out to our baseline over time, okay? Then we drew a parallel with that and actually what we do here at Positive Real Estate. We connected it to how we invest and how the thrill of buying a property is so, so powerful, but it's also temporary, okay? It's also temporary. And finally, I want you to remember that you can manage that natural restlessness with tools like reminiscing or, having a hobby, going back to redirecting that energy elsewhere. And at the heart of it is this reminder, folks. You bought that property for a reason. And although your life might do this for many reasons, okay, you bought that property for a reason because you're focusing on something much further into the future, okay? That decision was built on strategy and it was built on a long-term vision, okay? And the happiness that you felt in that moment, okay, is proof that you were aligned. And while that high may fade, the wisdom and the decision is actually what remains and what keeps us steadfast. So as you keep moving forward, keep revisiting your goals, get that QR code scanned or type it into your Chrome account or whatever onto your websites and have a look at what we actually do here, okay? So scan the QR code and use the tool, the goal setting guide, to actually reflect on your journey so far. And then you can actually book in with us, book in with each of us as the coaches. We love seeing you. We absolutely love every single one of our clients. And that way we can actually revisit your strategy and keep your mindset really clear and keep your portfolio working for you exactly as planned, okay? So thanks for spending some time with me this morning on this Monday morning. Thanks so much. Oh, thank you, Courtney. Love having you on the show this morning, folks. Great to see so many of you up nice and early. That's it, folks. Another Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted, and we'll be seeing you tomorrow, okay? We've got the whole team lined up for you and ready to go this week. Now, remember, after everything I've said so far, remember what Jason says, buy well and never sell. Okay, folks, have a great week and I will see you next time, folks. Great having you here. Let's get out of here. Enjoy your week and I will see you in the next one, folks. See ya. Catch ya.
Thanks for watching another episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the 6 Star team here at positivementor.com.au.